Our next speaker heads one of the most prestigious, internationally acclaimed educational institutions of the country, the Nalanda University. This university is credited to be the only university in India to be managed by the Ministry of External Affairs and awarded the title of the International Institution of National Importance. We are honored to have between us the Vice Chancellor of Nalanda University, Professor Sunaina Singh, has been entrusted with the noble task of rebuilding the ancient Nalanda University, largely because of her compelling leadership qualities of being an institution builder and her nuanced critical acumen as an educationist. Madam is a distinguished academician and administrator and holds the position of the Vice President at the Indian Council for Cultural Relations. She is a member of the Governing Council, Association of Indian Universities, AIU, a member of Comprehensive Language Policy of India, academic advisor of the National Cyber Safety and Security Standards, and a member of Board of Trustee of the Indian Foundation, a think tank. Professor Singh has played a dynamic role in streamlining the administration, reinvigorating the academic culture, and bringing about transparency and accountability into the system. We welcome you to the program, ma'am. Thank you for accepting our invitation, and we welcome you with folded hands.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Menaka ji, honored Menaka ji, Dr. Janice Darbari, Professor Neera Mishra, and a host of accomplished women who sit on the summit to exchange ideas, to bring to the fore what we can do for women of the future. Well, I was looking at the area. I was quite enthused to find that this is the second summit on women organized by we. My congratulations and compliments to the organizers for putting together such a holistic program, because when I look at the number of scholars speaking on different areas of expertise that need to be built over a period of time, and also the experts who have accomplished several things, I think this itself is an empowerment of women. So congratulations to each and every one of us on the International Women's Day, which the UN had declared in 1977. Menaka ji very stoically put that why do we need to ghettoize women through International Women's Day? Yes and no, according to me. We should not ghettoize women, because I think women have been on top of everything in India, particularly. We've had Vidushis in our knowledge systems who actually questioned the entire knowledge system, brought in the quotient of wisdom and harmony into the world. I think that has been the role initially of women, and they have not just been caregivers, they were knowledge givers. Whether we take Saraswati as our epitome, or whether we take our Vidushis, the scholar women who have been there in Vedas, I begin from there. I think it's important that we do celebrate women and celebrate. I agree with Menaka ji, we need to celebrate them every day. But perhaps International Women's Day is also pegging at the psyche of men to take another look at women, to see what has been happening to women. Are women empowered, or has the society, been able to uplift the girl child? It needs to begin from the cultural ethos. It needs to begin from conditioning a girl child, because when you find a young girl full of confidence and self-esteem, that's the contribution we make to women, and then the world is at her feet. I think that's how it needs to be done. So before I begin to look at what are the areas that we need to still focus on, I must say that women have been breaking new ground. They have been able to bring neoteric, resourceful ideas to the world. And the more we involve and engage with women, I think the world would be a better place. So, women, how do they navigate through a fast changing future landscape is what I was looking at. And I have a couple of ideas here that I'm going to throw at my young participants or upcoming leaders. I was looking at the UN announcement for the theme of International Women's Day for 2021. And if it says women in leadership for promoting women's full and effective participation and decision making in public life. It also says, how do we empower women and girls? I think this is where it is important that we learn to navigate, we learn to assert ourselves with fortitude, with tenacity. What are some of the things that we need to do? And one would be, let us all learn to build our own utopias. Let us all learn to be creators of our own destiny, create a landscape where we define ourselves and keep redefining ourselves. So reinventing, recreating the self, being the change managers, not just for others, for oneself, is very important. I think women or girls should embrace knowledge passionately, because there's no substitute to knowledge. The more empowered we feel it only through knowledge, the domain of knowledge. I also believe that role models are important, because we need to be aspirational. We need to look up to somebody. There was a time when we said we do away with role models. We don't need them. But I think it's time also to look at women who have accomplished, who have been standing on their own ground and have the courage to say no. That's very important. So also I feel women should steer clear of victim image. This is something that I feel very strongly about, because we should be able to turn our struggles into triumphs. I think that would be one way of looking at life. And also how to stop complaining and ensure that there is progress. And this is very important, because every complaint needs to be turned into a solution ideating ethos. I think it's very important that we give back to the society the way we want it to give it to us. So believing in yourselves, it would also entail being change leaders. So with these preliminary remarks, I was thinking, why don't we look at what is it that women can achieve? What is it that women can accomplish, and how? Because the question how is very important, because I believe increasingly that the government needs to put more funding where it is required, where women are concerned. Are we training our women enough? Is something that's a question that I keep asking myself. As the world's rhythm is changing, be it pandemic or without the pandemic, the kind of challenges that we face, particularly the women as caregivers, I believe that women have the power to give the world the right beat. I think this is very important, because I've been in the academic leadership role for over a decade now. I see a very gradual, slow process of change, but a certain process of change in the society, in the education sector, or be it any other sector. Certainly there is progress, but I think we need to learn to do more than that. Now, we all would like to see how the government can invest itself, how the companies need to, the corporate sectors, the institutions. Building a future for women leaders is very important. How do we build tomorrow's leaders? So empowerment, engagement become essential at every level, right from the girl child level. So the one of the thing that I was thinking about is the career trajectory. There needs to be, perhaps it's there in some places, but not in many. Structured, is there a structured onboarding process? Do we have the promotional avenues which are structured? Talent nurturing, onboarding process for leadership in women. Um, are there career building measures, what I call career builders, uh, for women? And I see a big no there. So there should be a well orchestrated system for mentorship, for training, for orientation, to engage and uplift, encourage the youngsters. The career trajectories can be built, I feel, through workshops, through professional development training, build opportunities, sponsorship, uh, building core values of diligence, learning, and dedication. Uh, this is very important, I thought. The other is the work life, the gray area of work life balance, because mothers have to navigate through different set of responsibilities. Women give more of themselves, perhaps, than men. So, which leads to frustration at some level. Indira Nui at one point had claimed in an interview that and I quote her, she said, "I don't think women can have it all. If they think so, they are pretending." That's what she said. And I believe somehow having it all is not inclusive. What do we mean by having it all? It means having a great family and a great career. You cannot have both very often. So what about single women? What about divorcees? What about transgender women? Various levels of women. What about them? When we are talking about, are we is the concept of having it all inclusive? I would say no, it is not. So it's important that we steer clear of society's unreal expectations from working women. The society glorifies women in many, many ways, and there is no glory in drudgery, if you ask me. So I think it's important that we steer clear from such kind of definitions for women. And it's important that we we nurture women to be confident in themselves and not to be apologetic at what they have not been able to accomplish. We cannot expect a balanced world if we do not have this kind of a trajectory. The other important thing I thought was women as problem solvers. Women are wired to be problem solvers. I think they have this capacity to find ways to bring some kind of harmony, how they solve the issues. I think, which is where the world, I think, even men need to get feminine. And let me explain what I mean by that. I think with women driving the financial stability, I think more and more men would come into this domain because what do women have to give to the world? I think they give compassion, they give empathy, the collaborative nature, compassion. These are the characteristics of a feminine and I think men are getting more and more feminine thereby. I think it's important that they get there, because if you want to be collaborative, you can learn that. That's a feminine characteristic according to me. Compassion, tenacity, empathy, the ability to take on anything and juggle with the resources and yet put right on the table something valuable that only a woman can do. And I think men are learning to do that very quickly. So they're losing. We no longer require the muscle there for all this. I think that's a very important aspect to my mind. So we need to, in other words, educate men, um, at all levels about the potential of positives, potential of empathy and compassion. This is something that would bring about a world of change in the sector of women empowerment. The other important thing I thought is, how else do you bridge the gap, the gender gap? One, as I have been saying, we need to harness the full potential of women leaders, entrepreneurs, and who can then promote innovation, economic growth, social development. All this is possible through the steps that I have gone through. I must applaud Niti Ayog's women entrepreneurship platform here, which has been a catalyst for women in business, for women entrepreneurs or women in technology, fostering network. Remember, in India, women do not have adequate property ownership, for which the banks refuse to give them a loan to start a new venture. So most of the business that women run are self-financed or patronized by the men at home. So I think this is something back home. This is something that also needs to change, and gradually, but certainly I think that this is where we are going to go. So how do we, in order to empower, I think it's important that we fight the cultural biases. Stereotyping needs to be thrown in the dustbin, not to be encouraged. Skepticism towards women also needs to be done away with. So I wonder, where are the men in Women Summit? I think they need to be there to learn their lessons, to encourage women, to their, not encourage, maybe that would be again patronizing, but learn to see women as equal partners. I think that will ensure equal world landscape for women. These few words, I think it's important that women retain their identity and celebrate themselves at every stage. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Madam, we thank you for the blessings and the thought-provoking speech you gave us. We are indeed blessed to have got such an opportunity to hear to you. And the thoughts like women are problem solvers, stereotype images should be changed. A woman's stereotype image will be rightly changed by your innovating speech. We assure you that we are all new women of this new century, and we will carry forward your ideas into the society and put it as seeds to germinate and generate into the society. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you to all, to the organizers. My best wishes. I need to exit. There are a couple of other things, but I'll off and on, I will be listening to everyone. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you.